we're walking down the driveway and I look at him and I said, that's my last session. And he's like, what are you? I said, you can keep going. It's my last session.
Welcome, everyone, and what a show we have planned for you. First and foremost, very rarely do I bring back somebody, but this gal was an absolute yes. We need to keep the conversation going. She was I think she was episode number 71. When I have her over on the ReLaunch podcast. So we've got ReLaunch Live, the radio show. We've got the ReLaunch podcast. And at that time, we were talking about her relaunches, the fact that she has this emotional detox book series, 10 books now. She has a new one out that is so good about energy. And you know how I feel about energy. You're going to get massive takeaways, things that you are going to be able to do and leverage as soon as we are done with this show. So this is the moment. Sherianna Boyle, she is the founder of Emotional Detox Coaching. She is the creator of the Cleanse Method, and she is the author of the Emotional Detox book series. Her most recent book, the one that we are going to dive into today, is Energy in Action: The Power of Emotions and Intuition to Cultivate Peace and Freedom. It is hot off the press. So this could even be one of her early interviews because I'm so excited about this. I grabbed her time. She has a book, The 4 Gifts of Anxiety, and it was endorsed by the National Association of Mental Health. She has been featured in over 90, we're going to hit 100 here shortly, media articles, and voted a top 25 coach. You are going to get coached out today. It's going to be so good. She is a presenter for PESI, Behavioral and Mental Health Education. She is a health and yoga master. She teaches at 1440, which is Multiversity University. She also does corporations and organizations about the importance of emotional processing. She is the host of Just Ask Spirit radio show. She works part-time as an adjunct professor of psychology. So we're going to go all things psych. I love all that too. Got my degree in it. She's been teaching yoga for 20 years and is a regular contributor to Spirituality and Health magazines. This is even the best part. She is living her ideal life in Cape Cod with her husband, and she has 3 absolutely amazing daughters, kind of doing it all. So we're going to give it up right now. It is so great, Sherianna. It is like beyond amazing to have you back on the show.
Oh, thank you so much. Wow. Beautiful energy. I don't think I've ever gotten that nice of a warm welcome, Hilary.
Well, you know what? Can I tell you? Your episode, and I said this, number 71.
When were talking, that, by the way. Do you remember what year that was?
That must have been, it must be almost like a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years. And we talked about emotionally detoxing your body. It was a huge hit. So for those that are like, after this episode, you are absolutely in alignment with what we're talking about, go over to the ReLaunch podcast, Google it, and you will find Sherianna Boyle and my episode. And it is off the charts. It just kind of keeps this conversation going. But right now, since everybody is not overly familiar with that last episode, or maybe they are, we always start with having you talk about the most significant relaunch and kind of what brought you here. And the last time, Sherianna, we talked, you were talking about what started this whole thing was a divorce. pending, excuse me, things were happening. Husband had done something. You were thinking that this might be it, but you had been practicing mantras, help me. But I love the best part, if I can remember, what really stood out for me in that episode was you said what you really wanted was guidance. Not like, hey, make this marriage work. It was more like, let me know. So I'd love for you to kind of continue the journey here, letting people who haven't heard your story understand the relaunch, understand why you got into all of this emotional detox in the first place.
Mm. Wow, you've got a good memory there. So I never did get divorced. I don't know if that was what you meant, but
Yeah, no,
yes,
absolutely.
yeah. So I never did. That never happened. I wrote Emotional Detox. Gosh, it was published in 2018, and that was kind of my relaunch, the publication of that book. So I wrote Emotional Detox actually because I was interested in emotions. I wanted to know more. I was seeing a lot of jargon about emotional detox, but nothing with much substance to it, like a mention, oh, do this, do that. A lot of it was related more to physical detoxes, like drinks and concoctions. And it was like, well, what exactly is an emotional detox? And they often get intertwined. And so I decided to do research and gather, what are emotions, what happens when they don't get processed. And about 5 weeks after I did the research, I submitted it to Simon and Schuster. They said, this looks great. Let's move forward, write the book. And I literally submitted it. And shortly after, within a couple of weeks, I was hit with the most traumatic, for me, the most traumatic news in my life, and affected my whole family. And that's when I was like, I need an emotional detox. I
And
can't.
can you again just go down that and let us know what was this massive news?
Yeah. So that's when, I say I was hit with it, Hilary, but if anyone's ever been betrayed or in a situation where you found out the person you were with was having an affair, we know before that, right? It's just a matter of, when are you ready to really let your guard down? When you ready to allow the truth to be exposed? And so when we go digging around and stuff, I know sometimes that's a sign of fear or insecurity or panic, right? Which I had all of that. But when you start digging around, I think it's really a sign that you're getting a little bit stronger, because now you're willing and you're saying to spirit, the universe, I kind of want to know, right? I want to know. I don't want to be in the dark. I don't want to be buried. So anyway, it was all revealed. I talk about it in the book.
But it is interesting. It is interesting that here you are, you're asking the question, and where you call it spirit universe, I have this framework 3HQ. The H's stand for head, heart, higher self. Higher self is that best version of you. It's the energy you bring into every situation you do throughout the day. And it's your wise woman, right? It's that voice in your head that's loving, that's encouraging. For, men, it's the wizard, it's the wise wizard. It's helping you. But so many times, because our emotions are getting in the way, we can't even begin to hear or listen to the wise woman, to the wizard. It's convoluted. And you knew, and I remember there was something you said, that you were doing 160 plus mantras a day or something. Cause I remember thinking she must have been doing these mantras.
Yeah, I was.
And you had you have a mantra book that came out, and you've done all this.
Yeah.
But I remember thinking, man, she was doing this mantra all day long. Every time you had a moment of thinking, you were like, oh, I'm going to throw this out.
Yeah.
And so help us understand a little bit more about this idea of mantra, affirmations, and this spirit guiding sense.
So previous to writing Emotional Detox, I was exploring and I wrote Mantras Made Easy.
Mm.
And I will tell you, I always say after I write a book, I'm never doing that again. I always say,
Yeah.
I put it out there.
I hear you as I'm like in the background, there's a picture of, ReLaunch, Spark Your Heart to Ignite Your Life. And oh God, I hope my husband's not listening right now. We are actually throwing out my next book. Like we're not throwing it out, but like leaning into it, thinking it might be time. And people who know me are like, are you kidding me? You're doing it again? I'm like, I might have to go there. But so yes, I understand you write and you're like, I'm done. That's it.
Well, it's like childbirth, right?
It really is.
And you do it for like 10 months and you're like, oh, it's so much work. It's so much, right? It's so much on your body. It's so much on your life. You have to change your life to accommodate it. And then you give birth to this child, this book. And then miraculously, a few weeks later, you're like, oh, I want to do it again. It's so beautiful. I'm like, I don't know. So for
mine's a year later. Mine took a year, but I am like, well, it would be good to further explain a very simple process to get you there faster. It's like, the silver bullet. I'm like, God, I talk about it all the time. Yeah. People want to know where they can get more of it. I'm like, oh, and so here we are.
Here we are. So, but mind you, everyone who's listening, that when you write a book, sometimes it takes a couple years for even to get out on the shelf. So there is space in there. I don't want them to think I'm just like a fanatic here.
Well, you have been published by some of the big names.
Or the traditional.
Yeah, the traditional Simon & Schuster. I went with a hybrid and New Degree Press. Awesome for anyone who's trying to have a publisher, but they are very academic. I mean, they make sure you know how to write a book. I mean, it was like going to the most intense MBA program on book writing. So this time I think it'll be a little bit easier because, that first book is intense.
Yeah. Well, that sounds wonderful because I mean, there is a lot of pressure with the traditional. So anyway, I had Mantras Made Easy was coming out. But it had been written probably a year before. So that book was launching, but I'm doing all these mantras and I literally did it while I was walking my dog. So I would carry my mala beads in my pocket. And
for those that don't know what mala beads are, what is that?
So mala beads are the beads that you see. There's 108 beads, and they're for mantras. And a lot of people wear them just because they're pretty, and they might have.
And they have like the tassel on the end.
Tassel on the end.
And they come in multiple colors depending on what you feel.
They're very pretty. Yeah, they're very pretty. I don't wear them out. I wear them when I do my mantras because the energy is sacred. I look at it as a sacred practice, and I kind of treat them like crystals, like you want to keep it clear and pure and all of that. And so anyway, I'm doing my mantra.
Just so you know, my beautiful, beautiful necklace that I would, really kind of get grounded with. I wore it out one night. My oldest daughter, Danny, was just like, oh, can I just wear it for the rest of the night? She's like, I just feel the energy. It's charged. Well, lo and behold, I no longer have that anymore. So yes, you want to keep them sacred. You do not want to just wear them out,
You do. Maybe you have the ones that you like to wear out, but I hold mine like a kind of like a rosary. That's the greatest, analogies, like rosary beads. There's 108 beads on there. So the difference between a mantra and affirmation is mantras are sounds, syllables, phrases that are repeated 108 times. I did 90-day practice. So I started probably my practice in, maybe April or so. And my personality, I took on, well, mind you, I'm in the thick of something. I know that there's something going on, right? Mm-hmm. So I decide to do a Sanskrit mantra, and I decide to do a couple one because you do English language or Sanskrit mantras, and just no attachment. Just I'm going to practice. I remember the people pulling me over, and in their cars, like post office people, all that, and they would say, you're out here in the rain. And I was like, yeah, I'm good. I mean, I would go out. It didn't matter what weather it was. I'd be with my dog most of the time. And I was so committed. I was like, no, I got to do this. And for some reason, walking, I needed to walk and I needed to be in nature. I couldn't just sit in a chair. I had too much going on internally. So anyway, I did those, was practice. And that's when I was done. I literally heard a voice. It like sounds so silly. I heard the voice and it was emotional detox. You're going to write a book about emotional detox. And I was like, what? And then later, Dad and I would find out everything. And that practice, emotional detox, is the foundation. The practice is cleanse, which was channeled through during that time period for me. That would be how I would get my life back. And it still is today, would be the cleanse practice.
You know, what's interesting is that you talk about, you know, how synchronicity, right? You were going through, you were doing your practice, you were, hey, no matter what, weather-wise, doesn't matter. I was committed, you said. And people go through relaunches, right? We all have them. They're most of the time we refer to our relaunches in a negative sense, but there's so much positivity that later on the silver linings will come up, right? But during it, hey, you know, they always say the mess is in the middle, right? Or the mess is in the message. You know, one of those. But what you were able to do is through the process, you were able to tap into something that said, you know what? I want to save this marriage. I want to make this work. Can we go into that a little bit? Because there's, you know, I mean, there's a tremendous, I've been divorced. I'm remarried. I've been with an absolutely incredible guy for 10 years. We've been married for 8. And there is that, you know, how does one make such a big decision around that? And especially because you do have guidance from higher self, from your source. How did you go about making that decision?
I think that the energy did it for me. And that's what my new book, Energy in Action, is all about. I don't really think it came from my brain. I think now looking back that Spirit was guiding me. I was almost like saying, honey, you're going to get slammed and you better build your energy up because you're about to go down, right? So it's like taking a ton of vitamin C because you're going into flu season. I think that's what the mantras did for me. And it allowed me to move that and put my energy into action. And then when I did get the delivery of the news, I didn't recognize myself, and how I handled it was never, ever what I would have expected or have told you the way that I would have handled it. And I think that was really what changed everything, because I don't think he expected that. So I know we're coming up on break.
We're coming up and I do want to carry this through when we come back, because I think it's important when you're given a massive opportunity to make a life impactful decision, processes that we take. And so when we come back, we're going to talk more with Sherianna. This episode is brought to you by my very own labor of love, my most recent book, ReLaunch. This book is a collection of my stories, other stories, and is a motivational guide to living a new 3HQ lifestyle, sparking your heart to ignite your life. It's available for purchase via Amazon. Get ready to try on the 3HQ method that I've been using for years throughout my entire life, reaching the next level in all areas, both professionally and personally. Get your copy today at www.therelaunchbook.com. We are back. I've got Sherianna Boyle here. We are talking about now really emotional detox. We're talking about energy in action, the power of emotions and intuition, the most recent book that Sherianna has delivered to all of us as a gift. But before we go into that specifically, we were talking about decisions in life, relaunches, when you are given it's almost, that moment of truth of yourself. Are you going to make this work or are you going to leave? And I ended up moving forward with a divorce. And Sherianna, you actually said, you know what? No, I'm going to give this another chance. I'm going to move forward. I need to understand, because there are a lot of people out there that are thinking about ending relationships and thinking, should I stay or should I go? So I really would love for you to help us understand how you came up with the decision to stay.
So one of my mottos and one of the key principles that emotional detox is based on, and I call emotional detox the foundation, cleanse is the process. So the foundation for emotional detox is all your emotions are good so long as they're processed. And when I say the term good, I mean valuable. They all have value so long as they're processed. My other motto and the key of emotional detox is I always say, feel first, then talk about it, or then make your decisions. And a lot of times we think about it, we ruminate, we go through the pros and cons, we, make our lists, and maybe down the road we feel something, I don't know. But my motto is I always choose feeling first, because once you start processing the emotions, the way you think about things shifts, right?
So I just want to throw that out. 3HQ, head, heart, higher self. What you're doing is don't be in your head, be in that heart space. Feel it. Feel what's going on, right? Versus what I also call, which is hell in the hallway, putting up a wall, closing the door. Don't want to deal with it, right? Tune out, baby. Tune out, tune out. It's an ugly situation. I don't want to go there.
Yes. And it's a big decision. I mean, at that point, I was married 18 years and together longer than that. Also, we are childhood friends. I mean, I've known my husband since I was 12. So we grew up in the same area. These were really, really big decisions. So I always say, feel first. The other thing I did in terms of if you want to look at it as a relaunch thing, is I said to myself, I'm going to give myself a year to make this decision. I'm not going to make it now. Now, granted, he didn't want it to end. Okay. So I know there's some women out there, men, where that's not the case, right? So I wasn't in that situation. With that said, you don't really trust it, right? So if you're even if a person says, I don't want to, you still don't really believe them. You still feel like you're being played, right? Because it's a form of manipulation. So perhaps for some people they look at it like that was easy, but it's not so easy.
No, but I also like that you said, I'm going to give myself a year.
Yes.
When I was deciding about, divorce and I said, we don't want to be rash. We don't want to do anything. Let's, once we really said, hey, is this really working for us? We decided, let's go to therapy. And I think it was about a year as well. Really interesting. And then we both were just like, probably not, what
So
we
you
were.
both were amicable. You both felt.
Oh, I often say that could be my third book, that I should write The Great Divorce.
Interesting.
Because, it really is an intro. That's a whole different podcast. Maybe it's the one we do with you.
You ought to write that, really. That would be very helpful to people. So I gave myself a year. And here's the other thing. I said, I'm not going to make a decision for a year. And we were right near our anniversary, by the way. We were about 2 days from 18th anniversary. I had a dozen roses on my table. So there's a lot of mixed messages going on here, right? And so I said, okay, I'm going to give this till our next anniversary to really make sure I feel and make a clear decision here. And I'm going to give myself permission that should I come upon a year and need more time, I'm going to give it to myself.
So you were like, hey, I don't want an ultimatum. Like, oh God, I said it was going to be a year.
Yeah.
and I need more time. You were willing to go
Otherwise, the
there.
pressure.
Yeah.
Then you
There
go
is a lot of
into,
pressure. Yeah.
right, the reactivity, right?
Mhm.
You're what's going to happen, at least for me, what I knew what would happen is I'd start suppressing. I'd focus so much on the decision that it would
Totally.
suppress and minimize the feelings, and I wouldn't get what I needed to heal. And the reality was, some of my children were young, and I still needed support, right? So I didn't want to screw myself, right? I, like a lot of men and women out there, I didn't have a lot of people offering a hand there, right? In terms of family, I've always sort of been the one, we've been that kind of a family where we haven't had a lot of extended family support. So I was kind of taking all of this into consideration. During that time frame, we were going to therapy. We did it for about 6 months. I'll never forget it. On that one session, she asked us a question, and she got up, her beeper went off. She had to go answer her beeper. And I'm sitting there going, how am I going to answer this question? Right. And I hear another voice, and it said, same one that came in, said it's emotional detox. And it said, what if you don't answer the question? And I was like, what if you don't? And she's talking to us. She comes back, and all I'm thinking about is the voice. I'm like, this is the weird part. We leave, and he's fully committed, full on therapy. He figures he's in therapy for the rest of his life. Okay. So he kind of thought this was
rightly so.
life sentence, right? He was fully expecting this is going to be my weekly thing, right?
Yeah. Or daily.
Right? And we're walking down the driveway, and I look at him and I said, that's my last session. And he's like, what do you, I said, you can keep going. It's my last session. Okay. He had to we used to go in separate cars because it was too heated. We needed time. We learned that early on. Yep. You need time to process on the way home. You don't want it to continue.
100%.
You know that feeling, right?
But you know what's interesting? I remember this conversation from the last one, because I specifically said, did you answer the question? And I remember you're like, I think I did. Because you were
her question.
Okay, but wait, we have so much to cover. I need to keep going. I know you have this new book, and it is Energy and Action, the Power of Emotions. Is that right? Did I say that right? Yeah. Power of Emotions. So help me understand a person like you. This is your 10th book. Why this book? Why were you compelled to say, you know what, it's time, and this is the purpose behind it?
And Emotional Detox, there's 3 books. Okay. So I've written 3 books. I wrote Emotional Detox for Anxiety. I wrote Emotional Detox Now. After the books, I'm really kind of contemplating on this whole idea of manifesting, and it doesn't make any sense to me anymore. I can't really jive with some of the teachings. Some of the teachings are very much about focus on your thoughts and change your thoughts, and what you think about you attract. And I'm thinking, well, that's all interesting. And I'm not saying it's wrong or bad, but what if you focus on your emotions and go in that doorway for manifesting rather than the thoughts? And Hilary, this was interesting to me. I thought, if I'm already saying to myself, okay, I need to manifest a better job and a better career and whatever it is, if I'm saying that to myself, doesn't that mean that I'm already in a little bit of reactivity? And so,
and scarcity. And
why would I create something that I really want, that I'm really hoping for on the energy of reactivity? Why would I plant those seeds in energy that's kind of almost a little polluted? Right. So I thought, okay, this doesn't make sense. How does this work? So this book is about Energy and Actions, about specifically 13 spiritual laws. That was the other thing. Why is everybody focusing on the law of attraction when there's so many spiritual laws? And as I'm getting to know them, like, they work together, kind of like the neurons in your brain. You can't
Mhm.
just focus on one type of
Absolutely.
neuron. You have to focus. If you want to bring balance and harmony, you've got to understand all of them, how they work together, how they support each other. And that made no sense to me. So I was like, I'm going to look into this, and I'm going to go through the avenue of, okay, process your emotions first. That's my emotional detox motto, which is emotions are energy in action. I actually define manifesting as energy in action.
I like that definition.
That's how my definition is. And emotions are energy in motion. Process your emotions. Now you're in a different space. Once you process, you're going to feel calmer. You're going to feel grounded. You're going to feel more connected. You're going to feel that sense of peace, kind of like that feeling when I heard that voice, right? And all of a sudden, it didn't startle me. It didn't scare me. If anything, it gave me guts, right? All of a sudden, I'm like, you know what? I know all you people are here to help me, and I'm very grateful for you all, and you're all wonderful people. But in the end, I'm going to run my own show here, and I'm going to take charge and say, you know what? I've got everything I needed from these 6 months, and I'm going to go sit and be quiet now, right? And that's what I did. And that's when cleanse started to channel through. Now cleanse.
What is cleanse? And I do want you to talk about the spiritual laws, because you do see it through a different lens.
So the cleanse is an energy in action as well. So it's not like we're carving out new material. What I do is I help people to cleanse is an acronym. It stands for C, clear reactivity. And there's many, many ways to do that in the book. L, look inward. That's that space where spirit said, what if you don't answer the question? Right? That's that space when I went home and I said, okay, I'm not answering the question. Now what? Right? And E is emit, which is a mantra, because I love mantras. A is activate. Now, this is where energy in action is different. You're going to love this, Hilary. Activate, when this came in again, another channeling, another cleanse session. Now we're going to call on what's called the rays of light in our activation, which are overseen by spiritual guides and masters. What spirit told me to do, it said, take the laws and pair them with the rays. Now, what I've learned about the laws and the
pair them with the rays.
The light.
The light.
There has to be light.
Yes. Everybody hear that. That is so good. You can't
just manifest from reactivity, because you could be still stewing in heavier energy. There's got to be light. So we have mantra, which is sound, vibration. Now we have light, right? And if you really look at any kind of spiritual books, or, you know, whether you're Christian or the Bible, whatever it is, there's always sound and light. I don't care what tradition.
I agree. And people who they know me, they know my tune-in process, sound and light in the form of the color too. And also it's very neuroscience based as well. So scientific evidence around that. That's so great. So then how did you identify it? How can you share with us in a very simplistic way?
That's what I had to do. I mean, literally, that was the most challenging part. It wasn't writing about the laws. It was, how do I make this obtainable to other people? Right. So it's the cleanse. So now activate are the rays of light, which again are high vibrational frequencies. They're not color, they're rays of light. So that means they're infinite. Color has a measurement, right? So it has a certain length, infinite rays of light. So we bring that in, I start vibrating, I'm talking about, and I can already feel their vibration. And then we move through those cleanse steps, and then I can, so you can ask me in terms of the spiritual laws. So
a lot of people may not even understand what is a spiritual law versus even like you heard universal laws. What are these laws?
Okay. So the spiritual laws are principles, and they're almost 5,000 years old, and they come from old Egypt. They have been around since before Moses. So they were originally oral teachings. They weren't written down anything about them till 1908. And when they were written in 1908, they did not want themselves identified as authors because they didn't even want anybody to say, oh yeah, I came up with the laws, right? Because that's ego. It belongs to this church. It was never meant to be part of any specific religion. It's supposed to be for everybody. So there's a lot of unity. And it's basically the way I look at the laws now in terms of emotions. I think they're a guidance system for moving emotional energy.
100%. I'm laughing here because when I wrote my book, ReLaunch, I put some of the laws in the book. And I told you that my publisher was very academic based and I had to go and prove, okay, so law of attraction, law of resonance, where did that start? Where's the proof? Cite it. And I mean, it was, nobody wants to ever say where it started. Nobody wants to say, hey, this was the person. This is not the law of gravity. This isn't the law of, what goes up, what, comes down. An object in motion stays in motion. Those people want to say, yeah, I did that. But these, no way. So I'm laughing as you're saying this. But and I want people to understand that when we come back, it is going to be rapid fire around how you can leverage these things, how you can put your own energy in action right now to help you in all areas of your life. So stay tuned and we will be right back. This episode is brought to you by my very own labor of love, my most recent book, ReLaunch. This book is a collection of my stories, other stories, and is a motivational guide to living a new 3HQ lifestyle, sparking your heart to ignite your life. It's available for purchase via Amazon. Get ready to try on the 3HQ method that I've been using for years throughout my entire life, reaching the next level in all areas, both professionally and personally. Get your copy today at www.therelaunchbook.com. I am here with Sherianna Boyle, and we are talking about so many things that somehow get in the way of getting us to where we ultimately want to go because we overthink them instead of just tapping into our heart, our emotions, and then letting us go, like riding the magic carpet, right? It's ease, it's a flow. And I only wish you guys could hear us on the breaks because it's like, yes, oh my gosh, can we go here? And I want to talk about that. But I want to make sure that you as a listener you're going to come away with some tangible things that you can start working on with your own energy. And we've gone through the cleanse approach, not the cleanse where you're, detoxifying your body, but cleanse, detoxifying all of the inner works of yourself, right? Of the emotions behind it. Sherianna, help us understand again in layman's terms. You talk about rays, you talk about spiritual laws. How do we really do this? Practically, how do we implement this?
So I wrote 52 cleanses on this. And so you basically just read the cleanses and they take less than 10 minutes a day. So basically,
give us an example of one of the 52.
Okay. Well, is there anything, do you want to think of somebody who's looking to manifest something? Do you have something where...
You know what? I get constantly people coming to me wanting to scale their business, and I continue to scale my business, right? So whether it's 6 to 7 to 8 figures, that's where we're going right now. Let's just keep it business centric. Scale the biz.
I love that one. So basically your focus is, okay, you want to scale your business. So what I'm going to have you do, and listeners, you can join us. This is going to be so brief though. Okay. This is not a true sample of the cleanse, but first of all, let's just take a nice deep breath. Okay. So we're going to inhale and exhale, just kind of get that lower belly. And then I'd like you to take your right ear to your right shoulder, Hilary, and just kind of stretch your neck a little bit. Just give yourself a little chance to soften. And I'd like you to take your eyes down to the floor when you do that. So if everybody could do that, that would help you move out of reactivity. Just move your eyes to the floor. If they're kind of looking over my right shoulder as I tilt my right ear to right shoulder. And then you're going to bring your head back to center, observe your body. And then you're going to take your left ear to your left shoulder.
My left ear to my shoulder.
Yeah. And now your eyes drop and everybody bring your head back to center. Okay. So take a nice deep breath. Inhale. And again, very condensed version. That's
the other conversation.
Okay.
We're not talking about dating detox
today.
This is not dating detox right now, everyone.
Maybe another day we can talk sex talk. But anyway, so I want everyone to take a nice deep breath. We're back in the center line now. So Hilary, just say the sentence and then take a breath after, but don't answer it. Okay. Say how I feel in my body right now is.
How I feel in my body right now is.
Everybody else can say that. And everybody take a deep breath. Inhale. And exhale. And remember, this is about scaling her business. Scaling, we're going to focus through Hilary for all the people that want to scale their business and say, the idea of scaling my business makes me feel.
The idea of scaling my business makes me feel.
Good. Inhale. And exhale. Okay, so let's just do a mantra together. Today we'll do the mantra hum. Okay, sometimes I shift these around. We're going to inhale. We're going to hum any anxiety or nervousness or worry, because I would imagine people who are thinking about that, you get overwhelmed by it. I know that's why coaches like you exist, but in general, a lot of people get overwhelmed, right, Hilary? With that,
no doubt.
They get fearful, right? So we're going to hum that. Okay, so we're going to inhale. Hum.
Do I keep my mouth open?
You actually close your mouth. So everybody, you can put your tongue on the roof of your mouth, everyone. And I just want to say something as I'm getting the energy here. This is really, it can appear very easy for Hilary, that she's good at it. And right, in terms of scaling the business, right? So just want to add that in there, that you have like a real confidence about you. And I think that's why people are drawn to you. And also because you've, it, you're not just talking the talk, because believe me, there's people out there that are saying they're doing it and they're not. Hilary is doing it. Okay. She is scaling it. It is happening. So good for you for, first of all, being drawn to a person that's authentic, right? Because that is important, is who you surround yourself with. So let's just take a nice deep breath, do another hum. Again, hum any anxiety, because I want you to know that, let yourself be in the right place at the right time, kind of thing. Let yourself really receive. So hum. Okay. So we're taking another deep breath. Hilary, what color pops into your mind right now, right off the bat? So don't think about it. Just let it
blue.
pop. I got blue too. So we're on the same page. Yes. So what that is, it's the law of correspondence. So I've paired everyone with the law. The law of correspondence, and the way I interpret it is, I know there's many interpretations, is that what's happening outside of you is inside of you, right? So if you're seeing fear, if you're seeing lack, if you're looking at, doubt or insecurity, and then there's something in you that needs to be cleared in terms of doubt, fear, and insecurity. Law of correspondence is just letting you know that. It's not here to judge you. As soon as you clear that, then you'll start to go into sync with other laws. So bring in that blue ray of light. So let's breathe in. I like to go back into a hum. So let's hum and then bring in this blue ray. Inhale. Blue ray of light coming in through the crown of your head, down through your body, down through your aura, down into Mother Earth. So we always make sure we bring this down into Mother Earth so that all beings everywhere can benefit. And that's the other thing about the way I manifest, is I make sure that I offer it to Mother Earth so other beings can benefit. Manifesting is not just about the me, it's about the we. Okay. Otherwise we're coming from a place of individuality and separation, which is not spirit. Okay. It's not our true authentic selves. Hilary comes from the we. All right. So she's not paying me, I promise. Okay. She's not telling me to pump her up. I really am feeling and reading the energy. You have to trust you're in good hands if you want to scale your business. That's her thing. All right. So let's take another breath. So bring in this blue ray of light. I will tell you, blue does carry faith. As you bring in these rays, the vibration of faith, the vibration of trust is there, and true power. And Hilary and I both know that true power is not your bank account, right?
No doubt. Rich life.
It's your authenticity. It's your worth, right? The bank account is a byproduct of all of that, right? Don't
100%.
go after the bank account to get to that. Hilary didn't do it, and you don't want to do it either. So you want to really soak that in.
I want the people that I just spoke to about this over the last couple of days to take in what Sherianna, she's talking to you. She's reiterating
and I
what
want
we
them,
talked about.
I also don't want them to look at you like it's the money and then everything else came. No. Okay. Don't, what I'm hearing from spirit, absolutely not. It's the self-worth, it's the inner work, it's the processing, and then that stuff will come. Energy and action, right? Also protection. Start taking care of your energy. Don't be so loose with it. Don't be helping everybody else when you're drowning. Okay. Be it's valuable. Just like, we were talking jewelry, if you have something valuable and you really don't want anything to happen to it, like my mala beads, I'm always like, do not touch my mala beads.
Danielle, do you hear that?
Like,
that's my daughter.
My mala bead. I always tell my girls, they're get your little hands off them. Anyway, I'll give you something else, but that's not them, right? Because anyway, the point is, it's just value. So now, Hilary, just say, I allow true power.
I allow true power.
I allow faith.
I allow faith.
I allow trust.
I allow trust.
I allow authenticity.
I allow authenticity.
And I allow free.
And I allow free.
And then the last step is I am authentic.
I am authentic.
I am true power.
I am true power.
I am faith and trust.
I am faith and trust.
And I am free.
I am free.
And then just really receive that. And now the intuition comes in, everyone. Okay. Once you start moving energy, then you're going to be guided. I am running my entire book launch differently than I am not doing what everybody else is doing. I am strictly running it all from intuition. And if there's days where on the outside and this is the law of correspondence, you're not always going to see it reflected on the outside, but it doesn't mean it's not happening. So don't attach to numbers. Don't attach to, sales figure. Don't attach. There's days where I'm like, the sales, I can see that. But you know what? I trust it's all going to be okay. And then sure enough, I gets the upswing. Law of rhythm kicks in. She's not interested in getting into this dynamic, right? So the laws will work together. That's a little brief, a sample.
That was powerful. And as we get to talk more and more in the future, you're going to know that it is so beautifully aligned with the tune-in process, with the higher self, wise woman. Oh my gosh. I think that, it's so great. This has been such a nice remembrance when somebody else is so in tune with where I believe we're going. And as you said, it's a rich life we're creating. Richness is it's bountiful. It's all around us. But we are about to end this segment. I want to make sure people know where to find you, how to support you. As you said, you're doing this launch as a, intuition-based launch. God love that. And how can we support you right now?
Well, get the book.
Done. I will get the book.
Yeah, I'm just a spirit. That's my podcast. Energy in Action is the new book. I also have an Energy in Action course. So if you need more support, it's a self-guided one. It's all pre-recorded. And yeah, and just start connecting, right?
That is so good. And for those that just loved hearing what we talked about today, or you're like, gosh, maybe you're new to this whole relaunch, philosophy, please go over and go to the ReLaunch podcast, hit subscribe so that you are informed when our next show, we come at you once a week. Get into the vibrational space that we are bringing you right now. It is so incredible. People like Sherianna who have so much to offer, different perspective on it. That's what we're looking. They talk about, we talk about G zone, your growth zone, your gratitude zone, your great zone, up at that higher self. Your wise woman is sitting there. Please grow, continue to grow. If you want your business to grow, start with yourself. So Sherianna, thank you for being here. And we will have all of this in the show notes. I am so excited to open up your 10 books to this audience, and especially Energy in Action, the Power of Emotions. So thank you for being here. And again, everybody, check it out, read it, let her know, DM her, let her know what you think about it. And we will see you next week when we dive deeper into yet another relaunch with massive takeaways for you. Take care, and we'll be back next week. If you like this video and want to get more like it, head over here.